Hello, it's Justin Coletti of Sonic Scoop. Thanks for joining me today. And today we are going to be looking at how tuning has just changed forever. Vocal tuning, AI has changed it. There is this small, subtle, yet I think kind of monumental shift that has just gone on with the way that we're going to be tuning vocals from now on into the future. Audimee have this AI vocal kind of resynthesis algorithm. And basically what it allows you to do is that you can take any recorded vocal and then completely transform the singer. So you could take a male vocal input and change it to a female singer. You can take a female vocal input, change it to a male vocal, but you can take a male vocal, change it to a male vocal of a totally different type. So they have this whole library of voices that they've created, basically these AI models of voices. And you can change your voice or another singer's voice into someone else's voice. Here's a before and after example they have up on their page. Here is a raw input.
Give me what I've needed. I don't want to be alone.
And here is it changed.
Give me what I've needed. I don't want to be alone.
So pretty persuasive female to male voice change and completely different timbre. Check out this slightly different take on vocal harmonization. Here's our before.
Not too late to chase the sun. Just you wait. Change is gonna come.
And our after.
Not too late to chase the sun. Just you wait. Change is gonna come.
So these are some of the kinds of possibilities that you could do in here. Can you do this already with multiple takes and multiple vocalists? Absolutely. I mean, first of all, one of the things that's been being done for ages is just to have one singer stack themselves and do 4-part, 5-part, 6-part harmonies of just their voice. What's newer news is the ability to now do more extreme vocal tuning. Because what we're able to do with this type of tool is instead of tuning the input and then putting out a new output, we can essentially say to the voice model, the AI voice model, we can say, hey, sing different notes. What would your voice model sound like if you were singing different notes? So we can create an interaction between the tuning and the voice model itself to get more accurate, more realistic sounding tuning changes, even if we're doing relatively extreme tuning changes. And if I go into the pitch editor that's here in Audimee, it'll go ahead and convert this audio, and it'll bring up a screen that looks a lot like Melodyne, if you're familiar with that, where we can just go ahead and click and drag notes and put them anywhere. But we're actually going to get a preview here where we'll be hearing the changed voice. I think I have the default male voice up here, so we'll probably get a high male voice here. Let's hear it.
Burning in my soul.
Well, that's a guy singing falsetto near the top of his range right there. Maybe we should pick a female vocalist, or we could pitch this whole thing down for this male vocalist. I mean, one thing I could do here is I could just grab, let's see, this whole note right here, and let's take this whole thing and slide it up. I didn't check what the key on this is. Right now, this is a B. Let's see what this note sounds like. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but if we move it all the way up to like D sharp, I'm just guessing here. This might be awful, but let's hear. It'll take a second to process.
Burning in my soul.
Ooh, no, D sharp is a good call. All right. And just as a reminder, our original input sounded like this.
Burning in my soul.
Let's take a different female voice, and I'll see if I can upload maybe a slightly different clip.
Still in love.
A fairly badly recorded vocal, and that there's all this additional room tone in here.
Still in love.
But if we put it in here, it's going to replace it with the sound of someone who is recorded in a good sounding room environment on a good mic. So here's our before again.
Still in love.
Let's go ahead into the pitch editor, and here's again our whole note layout, and let's hear our after.
Still in love.
So you can really tell that immediately it sounds like so much more up close. We get rid of all of that ambience around the voice. It sounds like it's on a better mic. Right now, this AI model isn't doing particularly well with getting all of the consonants correct on this particular line. So there's some things that you can do here to play around with, and that's where some of the more fine tuning comes in. We can go here, and I actually have conversion strength set here to 0%. We can change this conversion strength. That can sometimes help us out. Also, we might have slightly worse results when we're dealing with vocals that have too much ambience in them. There are these options to remove reverb and echo. So this can give us better results if we have a really badly recorded vocal that's a little bit too roomy and it's throwing the algorithm off. We can try this. We can try removing noise, removing background vocals. There's a remove instrumental function in here. So there's things we can play around with. We can do, there's so much cool stuff in here. We don't necessarily have to grab some of these voices. We can actually go into instruments, which often has been a fun thing for me. I'm going to grab, this saxophone. Let's grab this guy. And let's hear what this input sounds like changed to a saxophone. Here we are again in Pitch Editor. And it should give me a preview of what this voice would sound like reimagined as a sax. I mean, come on. Isn't it and imagine if this person was actually trying to mimic the sound of a saxophone and then we ran it through. I mean, I still get that hint of hearing Still in Love. But this really does sound like a saxophone. But the two big applications for me, again, are this kind of reharmonization where you could sing potentially one vocal line and then just start experimenting with, all right, let me spit out the same vocal line that I sang in a few different harmonies. And rather than it just sounding like me, let's have it sound like other voices. Now, you could make it sound like you, and the way that you would do that is you can create your own voice model with Audimee. I thought that was something that's cool that I haven't seen on some of these other services, where you can record, 5-10 minutes of you singing, and then upload that, and then the AI will create a voice model based on you. But we heard on the last stream where I checked out this stuff, me taking like Judy Garland and who else did I do? Freddie Mercury, and then changing their voice to my voice, so it sounds like me, but with the singing ability of Freddie Mercury or Judy Garland, which I do not have, admittedly. So, but you could do that with your own voice. You could create your own voice model of you and then have this tuning that interacts with the voice model. So you can do really radical retuning of yourself without it sounding super duper artifacty. But here's use case number one, taking you singing a vocal line.
Not too late to chase the sun.
And turning that into gang vocals, reharmonized significantly with just one take.
Not too late to chase the sun.
And even if you go and replace these with real vocalists later on, it's still just like an amazing sketch pad for harmonizing. Like, hey, what kinds of voices should I do? And I'm trying to write for 4-part harmony. And the singers in our band, we've got 2 female singers and 2 male singers. Let me experiment with that and hear what it would really sound like with 2 male voices and 2 female voices. And if you wanted to go even further to make this sound even less robotic, if that was the goal, you could still take that one take and then also do a little bit of time shifting where you could take each of the notes, after you've retuned them and make it so they don't line up completely. Because a super well lined up vocal, when you take it from like both a tuning perspective and a timing perspective, sounds like this, going from this
For all the times that you rain on my parade.
to something like this.
For all the times that you rain on my parade.
Right, where that sounds almost like a voice organ. There's no collection of human voices that would sound like this. Whereas this one really does get closer to sounding like a collection of human voices. And we could dirty it up a little bit more by shifting and drifting each of these voices just a tiny bit more off of being perfect, both in the time domain and in the pitch domain. But this does have that effect, that impression of a real group of vocal harmonies.
Not too late to chase the sun.
So that, I think, is creative application number 1 for this kind of radical retuning ability. Number 2 is this idea now of taking samples. Like, you can get inspiration from a vocal sample. And instead of using that same exact vocal sample that everyone and their mother has access to, you can now take that, change the instrument or voice that vocal sample is being done with. Change the voice to a saxophone or a distorted electric guitar line. Or even if you keep it as a similar sounding voice, you could totally repitch this voice, change the melody in that vocal sample. I'm going to say very high confidence, 98.9% sure that you're not going to be able to get this transparency in tuning that you can get with this kind of voice modeling. And try this out. Try resynthesizing your voice in other instruments. Try creating your own AI models. And try this harmony function. I think that's going to be the most interesting and useful thing here. You want to check it out, go over to Audimee.com, enter the code SonicScoop at checkout for 20% off subscriptions. Thanks for hanging out with me. This has been Justin Coletti of Sonic Scoop. See you next time.
Not too late to chase the sun. Just you wait. Change is gonna come.